Maximus Analysis here for Friday, October 23rd at the close, and we see they continued up. Got through the 200-day moving average. Looked like it was fading off early in the day, but they did close fairly strong. Again, top of the move, we have how many points are we looking at from this low? We are at about 200 S&P points from that low. So does that mean that it can't continue higher? No. What that also means, remember how much we were looking at this 20 area all basically earlier this year. Now it's coming basically almost to test it to 2080, 2090 area. It is a lot of movement. But this was the 20 area, and you can kind of see it as a happy median through all of this price action that we were talking about, that it was just churning sideways, break, got below, broke, and then finally broke here, which again, choppy movement, but man, this is, oof. So with that being said, we'll see how this continues, but on the weekly, it definitely looks strong, and the volume did pick up. So we looked at yesterday, we looked and said, okay, this is the weekly bar. They have to stay above this 206 level for any type of sell signal on the weekly, and now you see they're going to have to fight with all of this area right here, which they're already in. So if we even take this a little further and say, how much do I have as far as the middle of the chop, it again becomes that 2083 level. They've gotten all the way up to it currently. So we'll see how this one plays out. And it was a hell of a week. NQ, probably one of the best looking charts from the weekly standpoint. You can see on the daily, had a lot of help, of course, from Amazon and Google, which sold off and actually sold into the close, but you still had Priceline kind of pinning. And we'll see again, looking at the small caps, IWM didn't do anything. It didn't participate in the overnight gap. It didn't, well, a little bit, but it still didn't break above these levels. So again, a sell signal would be something to be aware of. And also looking at the IWM on the weekly still is not looking strong. So again, a break below this, let's say this 113.70 area could bring additional selling in. Just had the oomph, but has not cleared anything on the higher time frame. You have the YM, it actually is getting into, so let's shift this. Let's see if we can shift this up, kind of go into the chop region, and then kind of break down a little, mid-level of that like we did before to kind of just give us some perspective here. So they got to the top of it. And we'll see what happens. Again, Google, huge day up, gap up, and then just sold off into the close. And it sold pretty significantly. You're talking about basically a 30-point drop. But again, it's still strong as a ox on the weekly time frame. But we do not want to see any closes below this 670 area, and you can see why. That's a hell of a wick on a weekly chart, to say the least. It could just continue up, but I would see if it's going to chop a little bit and continue, because that's a hell of a volume on the weekly. And again, the sell signal will be below that. Above there, it's already 1, 2, 3 bars in, so it could give you another 2 bars, 2 weeks, but that's a hell of a wick. So just be cautious again with going immediately long. And you kind of have the same deal, high volume on Amazon, but they sold it off going into, and again, it's expected. It gapped up, people taking profits. It's a natural thing. Tesla did not participate with the overnight action at all. It actually continued. Again, you could say this is some type of capitulation from this consumer reports, but it didn't gap up or anything. Matter of fact, it did gap up a little bit, but then it sold off into the close. So we'll see what happens with that. You have Baidu. It's still, again, okay, it's up above the 50% mark, but again, let's look at the weekly time frame, and you can see, let me kind of take this off. You can see that it's just, again, any type of break of a low of like 147.83, and you see that we could have a continue selling. So 147.83 is around here. So we'll see if it gaps below, and then if it gives a sell signal, with that being the high. So you had Netflix, it bounced up, but it's still giving you this type of flag pattern. And let me just go something quickly. you know, you have this type of flag pattern right here. And it still looks like, again, if they break this low, it could continue for some lows. Goldman Sachs did not really participate with the gap as well. Again, Dow name, there was some other Dow names that did a lot of work, but this was one that I was expecting the banks to give me a little bit more. And you can see from the Bank of America did move up, okay, but again, let's see where it is in the bigger picture. We can see that it's just about to tap the 50% mark. So they want to hold, they want no break below this 1625-16 level. Break below that, and it could be some selling behind that. And again, it's just to say, listen, we had a rocket day, but who is actually showing some type of strength? So we had Twitter. Twitter didn't really do anything, fill this gap. So we want to see if it continues up. And again, if we do that same type of analogy here, we could see that, you know, it's what, a little bit above the 25% mark, hasn't even reached the 38 fib. We also have crude, which is kind of sideways, but it's at a critical level right now. So you see that this is huge price action, and you see the volume is ripped up. They need to hold this level. They don't hold this, they're going to 44, and now it was bouncing all day at that 44 level that we've been discussing. If you don't believe me, here we go. 44. Boom. Tap, 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 and just basically faded into it. So again, it waterfalled. I mean, you can see that, but again, it just continued to tap, and we got to see where this is going to go, because if you kind of look here, we are at a critical point that it could sell off. So the trend on the daily is continuing to be to the downside. So with that being said, we'll still continue to look at it, but a lot of weekly puts have been destroyed, and we'll see what happens when they reweight things and after options expiration, which is coming. I think this is the third week of October, or I don't know if I think it was last week or this week. So we'll see what happens when they reload. What happens on Monday? They could continue up. We'll see, but again, we'll kind of take it from there. And also, I had fit kind of from this sell signal that we had here is right back up to it. Again, no volume, sideways, just quick and dirty. You know, you got that going on. So we want to see where it's going to pop. And crazy week, and if you survived it, congratulations. If you got hit some stops hit, you're not the only one. I got some stops hit this week as well. So my videos are less about I'm this, I'm that. You need to follow me. I'm giving you out information. I have a 99.9% win rate, like a lot of people say. I'm just sharing that I'm a normal guy, normal trader, and trust your stops. You might not know where things are going, and that's fine. Like if I look at this chart now, I'll say I have the bias towards the bear side because of this retracement and how it looks. Again, it comes to taps to 50% with a lower high, but I'm not sure if they're squeezing or whatever, and I'll just wait for them to break one of these levels and try to see if there's a setup from there. So again, have a wonderful weekend, and